What's going on, rock stars? Welcome back to another episode of The 1% Life. I'm your host, peak performance coach and trainer to the 1%, Joni Dillon, and I'm really pumped for the guest I have here for you and with you today. This is Mark Herm. Mark
Very
Herm.
easy.
Very easy. We're here. Let me just give you a little bit of a background. We're here at a mastermind event out in somewhere in beautiful snow country of Utah. And this incredible human being you see here in front of you has absolutely just blown my mind in terms of his thinking, in terms of his level of beingness in his craft. So Mark is an online poker player of 15 years now. He is, he was one of the best in the world.
I was ranked number one at one point.
There we go.
This year,
just ranked number one in the world at one point. And this year?
This year, probably around number one in terms of the profitability. Yeah.
Number one in terms of profitability in the world in online poker. How many people play online poker?
So so that's not completely accurate. So online poker, there's many different facets you can play. The one facet that we play, which is a big subset, is subcategory, is tournaments. So I would say I'm in the number one, at least 1 to 3 of probably in tournaments. Cool. That's tournaments. Cash games is a whole different thing, but that is my specialty, tournaments.
Awesome. So I'm really excited to dive into the mind of this amazing poker player. And what I found, for those of you who've listened to the 1% Life for a while, I've been coming to these masterminds for about 1.5 years now. And my mentor and coach, Elliot Rowe, brings just these incredible minds together from the top performing, anywhere from athletes. We had Super Bowl champions. What else do we have? We've got World Series poker champions, incredible poker players. We've had, amazing entrepreneurs.
Yes.
You name
Crushers.
it. Crushers. There we go. That pretty much just sums it up.
Yeah.
And I'm personally fascinated by the inner workings of this thing right here, the mind, no matter what the sport, no matter whether it's, I don't know if poker, is that considered a sport? Hobby?
I wouldn't say it's a sport,
Business.
But it's definitely mental warfare.
There we go. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited to dive into that. And so I wanted to bring Mark here in front of you today to really help, to dive into his mindset a little bit and figure out what is it that makes him so successful, and your team as well. Would you call the guys your team?
They're my horses. Is the term.
Yeah. So this
guys
is cool.
That I invested in.
Very cool. So this is all new to me. I didn't realize this even happens out in the world of poker. But so talk a little bit about that first. You are considered a
backer, which is someone that financially invests in other players. And so my specific role as a backer is kind of a full service thing. So I provide mentorship, actual poker technique coaching. But yeah, it's more than mentorship. So for instance, to give you an example, the 2 guys that are here at this mastermind have never been introduced to hypnotherapy or anything on this realm or done anything of this nature whatsoever. And I kind of open them up to that. The one guy who was also a former 1 ranked player was in a big rut, losing a bunch, and I got a hold of him, and I sent him to Elliot, and then within 4 months, he's one of the top winners in the world again. So the mindset, poker and mindset stuff are just hand in hand, and if you're not doing it, you're probably not doing well.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating. So you back these guys, and this is a business for you. You give them the capital for them to go out and be his horses.
Yeah. And
it was really cool, actually, hanging out and listening to these 2 last night. Actually, there was several people in there, but we're talking, one of them walks in with their whole poker game going, and it's just fascinating to me. So let's talk a little bit about this. What got you into this game?
I just watched it on TV, and I was fascinated by it. And I was one of these kids that went to school, and I was interested in nothing that I was learning at school. It all felt like bullshit to me. I was just zero interest. And this I found when I was senior in high school, and I'm just extremely passionate about it. It was just I'm a very obsessive person, and I read every book I could get my hand on, and just really just went all in on it.
That's very cool. Do you have to be obsessive to do poker well, to play poker well?
Yeah, for sure, because it requires so much time. Obsessive, you have to be.
In what context? Right? In what way?
You can't go into it trying to make money. I don't think, because that was not my intention at all. I just did it because I loved it. It was a passion of mine. And the thing is, if you're all right, well, teach me how to play poker because I want to make money. A lot of people have said this to me, and it's nah, that's not going to work. Plus, you're not going to, if you just learn now, it's going to take you multiple years to be profitable. There's a big amount of learning that you have to do.
But you guys play some kind of big stakes, right?
Yeah, we play big stuff. Like the biggest stuff we would play is like, I mean, I played a couple $100,000 buy-ins, meaning like you have to put 100,000 to get in. The biggest thing, I haven't won like something super huge. The biggest thing that I won is what? In backing, I had like a few $1 million scores where like, for instance, someone would win 2 million and I would get $1 million.
Mhm.
I had like 2 or 3 of them and that was my biggest, I think. And then me personally, what is my biggest score? What do I not know this? 330,000. And I've won like that exact amount like 4-ish times.
Interesting.
I would say.
That
And
exact
actually,
amount.
yeah, that exact
That's-
amount. Between 300 and 330.
But what percentage of poker players out there who play, you know, somewhat consistently would make that kind of earnings?
No one's winning. Yeah, very few. Like even like of the pros,
Yeah.
like even of guys that are doing it for a living, most of them are like struggling to like get by. And
Okay,
it's
so
like
this is
really it's
fascinating.
like the 1%, it's like become like the
Point
0.1.
0.001%.
Yeah, like something
Yeah.
extremely small.
So let's talk about what does it take to be successful in poker?
Okay, so really it boils down to, for me, where I'm at in my career is confidence. It's really entirely it. And how I got to a confident place was through doing mind work, hypnotherapy. There's a lot of different modalities people do, psychedelics. I never did that, but I'm sure there's a lot of different ways to get to that place. But for me, it was definitely hypnotherapy. And the confidence will allow you to trust your intuition. And I believe, and there's many different theories to poker, what wins. There's a lot of mathematical guys out there. There's a lot of theoretical guys out there. And I'm very of the school of, one, you got to be open-minded. There's a lot of different styles work. I have guys that play for me that I really don't like the way they play in many facets, but I know that it works for them, and what they're doing is it's just all working together. And I don't want to taint what they're doing and input my own way of doing things onto them. So in that way, I am kind of one of a kind in terms of backing, because I don't let my ego get involved in that at all. But that was not always the case. That was a learning curve for me.
So confidence is key. And what happens? I mean, I'm assuming like you don't win all the time.
So I am this is a weird year for me with Elliot. I am in like I really am just winning. And this is something that really does not happen.
One of his guys was playing. Can I just interrupt?
Yeah, no.
Can I also tell?
What he won, like 30K or something?
Yeah, like 30K. But like for the average person, you're like, oh yeah, I'm just playing a little game of poker, and it's like, I just won 30,000.
Yeah.
In a couple hours last night. I'm like, that's pretty freaking cool. So they're playing at pretty competitive level, and also just freaking good at what they do.
So in terms of numbers, though, I will be clear with that. That is not necessarily normal. I set a goal for this year for myself, and I just play on Sundays to make $500,000 just playing Sundays. And I thought it was a lofty goal at the time. And then, so right now I'm at 1.35 million just playing Sundays mostly. And I'm actually at a final table that starts on Saturday. That first place, meaning there's only 9 left out of 11,000 people.
Wow.
And I just played this past Sunday, and it restarts again on Saturday with 9 left. And first is a lot. The first is like 275,000, something like that. So I changed my goal from 500K to 1.5 million, and that I tried to do the hourly. The hourly is like 2,000 to 2,500 an hour. So like it's great money, but like it's not like normal to just sit down and make 30K. And that's just the highest. Like I'm making the most of anyone doing this. So like that's not a normal win rate. The normal win rate is maybe like $200 an hour or something like that.
What makes you unique? What makes you? Let's start with you, and then maybe your guys.
Yeah.
But like you pick the guys, your horses, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm a good picker. I'm a good seer of talent. I definitely that's like the skill set that makes me a good backer. Like I really can see things about people in or out of poker. But what makes me particularly good is the open-mindedness and the confidence to try new things. I don't listen to people that talk about poker on YouTube, like really. Like I talk to guys that I trust and I know win. And then other than that, I let my intuitive beast run wild, and I am constantly thinking differently about the game. Like I don't have a set strategy. I'm very open to trying new things, constantly pushing the bar in terms of like what we should do. And most guys are not thinking like that. They're just thinking like, I have this hand in this spot. This is what I do. And I'm just constantly evaluating and whatever. But you need confidence to do that, because you're doing things that sometimes are going to look ugly and messy. And a lot of people think that I suck. Like a lot of people, and I love that. Like, and you also have the confidence to be able to take that.
Are
and
they
not
just
get the
haters,
validation.
or why would they say that you suck?
No, they really believe that. They don't see it. And it's like some sort of delusional subconscious thing that they think that you can only win in this certain way. It's just closed-mindedness in a nutshell, really. It happens in all forms of life, right? But like I've kind of transcended that, and then and it's very clear for me to see guys that are stuck in the closed-mindedness, and I'm just like silently laughing in the corner. Like I'm just like,
So I love this. Here's what I'm hearing, and I don't know that you've quite spelled this out, but we've been here for a couple of days and we've been having conversations. By the way, I highly recommend, if you're not part of high-level masterminds and you are the 1% or the 0.001% and want to get there, find rooms, the proverbial rooms like this, where you're just stretching yourself to think differently and you're bringing other minds into that space, right? Wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree. It's all about the people you surround yourself with, 100%.
That's powerful. So what I'm hearing from you, Mark, is that maybe there's like more of a mathematical process to how most players
Yes.
play, and just getting to spend time with you over the last couple of days, I'm feeling a massive like flow that comes through you, and intuition, an inner knowing, and you think so fast, which I think that you have to think really fast. And
for sure, everything's happening
in
very
poker,
fast.
right?
Yeah.
Especially online. Like I didn't realize you guys actually play like, what is it? How many?
So I'm more of a purist, and I tend to play lesser amount of tables because I am such a field player. So to give you an example of me being a field player, being a field player is like I'll see someone raise, and I can't describe it, and it sounds kind of nuts. And I've checked myself for like being delusional. Like, am I being delusional here? But I feel like and sometimes I can like emotionally connect to what people are feeling, and that may or may not be true. But there's something going on when I'm really paying 100% attention to one table that like I'm crushing them, because like I'm seeing what they're going to do before they do it. I'm 2 steps ahead of the game, and I'm just knowing, and different things they'll do. I cannot really explain to you why I will do what I do, but it was just a feeling. It was just like I knew that this guy was full of shit here, and I just knew like I had such a strong hand here, and I just knew that this guy had the absolute best hand, and I folded. Just this weird knowing, and I think it's an aggregate of experience. You definitely need the experience. You can't just like come into this and be like, all right, I'm gonna like crush. It's an aggregate of experience, and then that allows you to get into the flow.
You played enough hands to know.
Yeah, you need to have that. It's like the 10,000 hour rule or whatever that is. That is true. Like because I know for a fact from experiencing it, like I just was not simply as good before because I didn't have the experience.
And I hear what you're saying with that, and I completely agree. And there's a level. Some people probably just aren't as intuitively connected as you are, or they don't go there, and they just.
Yeah, and I think some of it. Yes, and I think some of it boils down to confidence for sure, because if you're not confident, you can't access the intuitive realm because you're not open to it, Let's
talk about confidence. I think this is so freaking important in anything.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, if you want to be the top 1% or point whatever, we call it the 1%, but play at the top, the best with the best of the best, right? You do have to exude confidence in all of your interactions, right?
For sure.
So how does confidence specifically come into play in what you do? Like, give us a scenario.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say,
and where it could really F someone up, right?
Yeah. Where the lack of confidence would F someone up.
Let's talk about where confidence could be needed, and then like so let's go there first, and then where I want to go is, so how could that just turn into a really bad situation?
Okay. So where it would be needed is a spot where I all of a sudden feel vulnerable, and I would feel vulnerable if I really felt like I needed to make this play that was like the craziest play ever. It was a very bizarre, weird play that like other people would not make. Okay. But I just felt, for whatever reason in the moment, I just need to do this. Yeah, I just need to do this. Without the confidence that those plays, no one's making those plays. Because
so they'd hold
scared.
back. They wouldn't.
So it's fear. Yeah, it's fear. And so like what I do and what I'm good at doing, and if someone asks me how I made money, is I exploit fear. Like I'm just constantly exploiting fear. Wow. Like that's it. Like I'm smelling fear in different situations, in different whatever, and I'm exploiting that. Like I'm just like ripping through.
Meaning leaning into it? And
I'm exploiting other people's fears.
Oh.
So I'll give you an example. Let's say first place is $1 million in the tournament, and 9th place is $100,000. Okay. So there's a big jump from getting 9th to getting first. Okay. So a lot of guys are in like the scarcity mindset, are just not confident, or just like scared, and they don't want to get 9th. They want to just like maybe get like at least get like 4th and get like 300,000 or something like that. It makes sense, right? It does make sense. Right. So I spot that out in people, and then I kind of like contrarian theory. I attack that. So I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like I'm gonna go nuts. I'm gonna exploit their fear, and I'm gonna go for the first place money. Which mathematically speaking, you kind of have to go for the first place money
Okay.
because that's where it's extremely top heavy. This is a weird thing about poker tournaments. So like, for instance, first is $1 million, and then like 20th is like 15,000. You know, it's a big difference. So like this is why the killer instinct needs to be there.
So what do you do outside of when you're playing to ensure that you can show up in total confidence?
I mean, the number one thing that I would say that's helped me is hypnotherapy, for sure. Without a doubt.
But wouldn't every poker player go to that?
No, because I think my theory on this is that people, you know, the subconscious mind, as you know, is a very tricky, spotty place where, you know, things can often get missed. We don't know what's going on. I definitely don't know what's fully going on in my subconscious mind right now. And so I think a lot of guys are scared of, I don't know what, a million different things. They're scared of winning. They're scared of losing. They're scared, you know, they're scared of all of this stuff. And then also it's a bit taboo, but I believe they're just scared of growth or whatever. And I think we kind of all are on some level at times. Yeah, and it's, some people just aren't even aware.
Not every hypnotherapist is great. I mean, you're working with one of the world's
best.
I'm
working with one of the world's best, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference. And I also believe that if you're really open to it and you're dealing with someone that's at least good, that you'll be okay. But I can't say that for sure because I've always worked with the best.
Yeah.
And that's all I would really care to work with. And he's really great at spotting out these different things and it's really just related to all past trauma. And when I say trauma, it's like this really like trauma for me is just like very like things that you wouldn't consider traumatic. But for me as a 9-year-old or whatever, or as a 7-year-old, I thought was traumatic and are negatively impacting my poker game. And then we get in there and we rip them out. And then I come back and I'm more confident.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about the subconscious mind is that you aren't consciously aware of these things in your everyday dealings, right?
Yeah.
Part of that.
Yeah.
But you're not conscious of that thing. And as an adult, you can look back and go, that was traumatic. I can't imagine that being traumatic, but the subconscious mind creates meaning around, you know, the thing that we were talking about last night, like creates meaning around what's said, the event that happened. And this can create some protection that is caused or some sort of, you know, coping mechanism that as a child you needed that results in you maybe holding back as an adult. For example, I'm giving a random example, right?
I think that's a very normal thing. I think that's a very widespread general truth, yes.
Yeah, for sure. And so when we actually start doing the inner work and committing to do the work, you know, in whatever modality it is, and there's lots of effective modalities, most people aren't willing to do the work. You're right.
Yeah.
They're just not willing to do it. Have you experienced that that's just been a huge part or an integral part of your progression? Yeah,
I mean, I've always kind of been the sort of type that was like attracted to pain, are attracted to growth in whatever reason. And I'm just lucky. Like, I really can't say anything other than I feel just lucky that I am that type of person. And other people are not the type of person based on, and I think a lot of it's based on like your upbringing and like weird stuff or like the way you were born. I don't know, but it just was in me. So I'm not like coming at people with like an ego with it, where it's like
you've got to do this.
Whatever. Even though sometimes when I see my, you know, friends struggling and it's very obvious to me what their issue is and they're not working on it, then I will kind of get frustrated and triggered by it and whatever, and that's my own shit. But yeah. So
can we talk a little bit about like when, you know, just I really want to get into the inner workings of what makes you different again. So it's you exploit fear. Do you read the fear on their faces? Do you feel
you know that you know? So
how do you know when there's someone? By the way, we have a snow plower going by our 26,000 square foot mansion right now that we're in. So it's a little noisy, but we'll bear with it. Go ahead.
How do I know the fear? That's a really good question. Certain spots, the general community has fear. Like the spot that I said, there's now 9 left. First place is $1 million, and 9th place is 100,000. And no one wants to make a mistake. No one wants to look stupid. No one wants to pass up on a couple $100,000. I know that. Like that's a general thing, right? And I also generally know the players that I'm playing with, especially when we get deep. So even if I don't know them personally, like a lot of guys, like
styles.
Yeah, like I'll be watching and I've been observing this guy and I'm taking notes on how they're playing.
Right.
Very, and I've seen it a lot of different things, and I can put them into a certain category. And there's really only like 20-ish categories of people that how they play, like different, however they react psychologically to things, in my experience. So I'll kind of just make note of that. I'm like, this guy is like, can be aggressive, and like this guy just always has it. Like, so some people just like bluff a lot, or some people like don't bluff a lot at all. But generally speaking, I very rarely come into contact with someone that is willing to go to war. And I'm just always willing to go to war. Like I'm always.
So talk about that. Like what the heck does that mean in the context?
So in the context of poker, it's like I won't stop raising. Like I'm just gonna keep raising, and I'm gonna keep coming at you, and I'm not gonna get shut down. And no, because a lot of people will try to like a bluff and it won't work, and then they'll get.
Well, is it like a hesitation in their hands? Is it like in their?
Well, I'm all talking online poker. So like I'm not an expert at all in reading people in the live physiology in a live setting, and I think it's not super relevant. I don't think it happens a ton unless it's just like a complete novice.
Which is fascinating to me. So you're not seeing faces at all. Like,
no,
it's just numbers.
It's numbers, and it's like, and timing too, because there's a timing. Like I say half of my game. I joke. I say half of my game is timing tells, and I really, on some level, feel that. Like I feel that I'm paying so much attention that I'll see what people do when they have a good hand. So a tell would be someone slowly raising. And then sometimes it means, so this is the confusing part, sometimes it means total strength, and sometimes it means hesitation. And it normally means hesitation. It normally means like, I'm not sure if I should raise this hand or not. So how I would, attack that is I would just re-raise them. They would raise, and then I would re-raise. That's a big part of poker, and I have nothing. It doesn't matter what I have. I have complete, I'm not playing my cards most of the time. Like I'm just bluffing with nothing a ton of the time. That's how I'm like, that's how I'm winning.
And that makes you unique, because most people wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't do it. Yeah, they wouldn't do it because they haven't been given permission to do that either. Because the people that are teaching about poker on the internet now, it's all like there's a system, and like you have to have a certain frequency. And I'm like, nah, no, you don't. I'm reading their psychology. Like, so I play what is called an exploitable style. I'm exploiting, different bad things that other players are doing. But I constantly do that.
So how does this not get used against you?
So it doesn't get used against me because of this reason that people do not understand. You're playing with a pool of thousands and thousands of players in these things that we play called multi-table tournaments. So like, this one tournament, there was 11,000 people. A lot of the tournaments were like a couple hundred people, but you're rarely playing with someone frequently enough to like really have an insanely strong read on what they do with every hand in every situation, right? And I'm king of being observant, and I know that about observing other people, that like I don't know what they do with every hand in every spot. And a lot of people aren't really observant at all. Like some people are like watching like football while they're playing, and just like all this stuff. So and a lot of what they're doing is projecting. So they're projecting onto you how they would play a hand, and I'm not doing that at all. Like I'm just exploiting them. So I'll do something, and they'll be completely baffled by it because they would never do it. It's not in their.
So does it throw them off?
Yeah, completely. They're just completely like bamboozled, basically.
And then they don't know how to react next sometimes, or
yeah, they don't know how to react next.
They're like, if he would do that, what else? What's really
right? And then I'm re-reacting to that, and so like it's all this leveling game. But usually at that point you've already won. Like they're just completely defeated, and they have no idea what to think. And then sometimes people just think that I'm a straight up fish, like a bad player, and so they will then go into this mode of playing like very cautiously against you, and I know that they're in that mode, so I will readjust to that.
How do you know?
It's the bet because they stop. This is a big thing in poker. They stop re-raising you before the flop. This is like getting a little bit technical, but they stop attacking you, and they're waiting for you to just give you all of their chips. So generally speaking, if I was playing against someone that was a complete fish, or like whatever, I would do the same thing. I would just wait for them to just like give me all their chips. Like I would have like, a good hand, and they would just like go all in. I'd be like, call, and you're out. Like, and they think that's what I am because I'm projecting. I'm trying to put that in the brain that I'm this fish because of little different things that I do. And then, so then they're just waiting for me to like give it to them, and I never do. Then I just, when they re-raise me, when they re-raise me, I like think a long time and just fold because I always know they have a good hand, and that's it. Like, so I can just steal.
Wow.
Yeah.
What makes a good poker player in addition to confidence?
Open-mindedness is like massive, is like very massive, for sure.
In what respect?
Open-minded is the fact that there's a lot of different styles that can win. You know, it's so easy to get caught up in your own shit and say, this is what works, this is great, this is whatever. But if you're open-minded to something working that's not part of what you do, then you can grow, you can get better. And most aren't. Like a huge portion of the people out there are not open-minded to like
Learning
new
a different way,
strategies.
a new strategy.
No,
That's good.
no.
I think that's a metaphor for being successful at anything in
Yes,
life, right?
for
It's
100%.
like, do you operate out of a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's powerful. I've definitely noticed that with everybody here, of course, since we wouldn't be in the space, but your guys. So I want to talk a little bit about you being a backer and what was that. Sounds kind of risky. I mean, you literally are like, I mean, how much money do you hand the guys? Like,
Yeah, like so to give you an example, like I've essentially fired people after they lost me like 300,000. So you can have big losses for sure.
Yeah,
and then I've had guys that have won me over $1 million too. So like this is a big thing. And I admittedly made way worse mistakes back when. I've been doing this forever. I've been doing this backing since like 2007. And I would make mistakes where I would, be too easy on guys, like hire guys that were like my friends and not necessarily qualified. Not wanting everyone to like me, so like kind of allowing them to do things that they shouldn't be allowed to do. That sort of thing. I struggle with these things for sure, and through that I've learned. But really, for me, it's just this skill that I have in being able to spot talent is the thing, and then also the skill in being able to motivate and mentor people is the thing. And I really care about the guys that I back. Like I just genuinely, love and care about them. And you can't really mask that or like fake that or whatever. And I know guys that have ran similar business to me and they're just treating it like a business, and it's not going to work out for them like that way. There's no way, because the guys aren't going to care about your money enough, and there's not that same level of respect and accountability.
Yeah, that's powerful. What is it that you're spotting in them?
Generally, it's a really good question. Generally, it is the confidence and the ability to think outside the box, for sure. But a lot of it's like someone that I wouldn't want to play with. Like I wouldn't want them at my table. Does that make sense? Someone that's tough.
Yeah.
And it's rare. Honestly, now it's rare. It's like I say this all the time. There's like 10 really tough guys in there. Like there's like not that many.
Real.
Like really tough. Like beyond that, there's like guys that are like decent, but like someone I really wouldn't want at my table. And like Nick is one of the guys that I back, and the way he plays and the way I play are like so night and day different. But I still would never want to be at his table. Like he's tough to play against in this weird way that I can't describe. And a lot of people would just say that's bad. The way he plays is bad, and it's you got to be open-minded.
But you're learning how he plays now. Don't you?
Yeah, and it taught me a lot. And it's like watching other people play and seeing what they're good at and what they're doing. It teaches you a lot. So I kind of have access to like all of this information because I'm talking to like a lot of the best players. So like I'm like picking and choosing what I want out of their games and stuff. Does that make sense?
And that takes some courage. Do you agree?
What to
take something? Out of someone else's game.
It takes a level of humility and a level of open-mindedness and stuff. Yeah, and
trust that it could work, it could not. But
for sure.
I don't know if the word is trust, but
trust and but it's really
willingness to fail or flop. I don't know.
For sure. That there's a ton of that going on for sure. But it really just kind of like knowing what is like seeing talent in people, and that's just like a natural talent of mine, on or off the poker table. It's seeing talent.
Yeah. So what's in it for you now? Like what excites you about the game? What are you looking forward to? What are you working on?
I love working with my guys, and I love seeing growth with my guys. Like Seb, this guy, one guy that I back was not doing well at all.
We're gonna have him on the show. He's incredible.
Yeah, great guy. In a real massive genius, like genius, like cerebrally.
So he fell into
a rut, a mental rut. Because of his life wasn't going well and a lot of things. He lost confidence. Yeah. And then I linked him up with Elliot, and within 4 months, all of a sudden he's again in the top 10 of guys that are playing online, and he's won $700,000 in the past 5 months or something like that. Yeah, just like that, like a flip switch, and now he's changed. Like so, seeing that is great. Seeing people grow is great. And for me, but it's more like I care more about my own accomplishments and my own like hurdles and whatever in poker, and I've just done so much this year and I feel so confident. feeling the confidence is just like the best feeling in the world. I can't describe it. It's just like, you're just not, there's like zero, it's the opposite of anxiety. You're just like, all right, I'm going to like dominate.
So the highs are good. What happens in the lows?
I don't have any low, like my whole poker career, really, there hasn't been many like lows. Like I don't have it.
Is that normal?
No, it's extremely not normal. I basically deposited $10 on the internet, like at the age of whatever I was, 16 or something like that. And I just, I don't know how much I want to poker with back, with $10 million or something like that. I don't know, but that's it. I deposited $10 once and I never went broke, which is very not normal. Because in poker, mostly guys go broke. It's this weird thing where they just lose all their money because they're not doing something responsibly. And I really attribute that to my parents.
Yeah, you mentioned that today. Like you learned how to manage money.
Yeah, I learned because my dad was a mailman making 40 grand a year, and my mom didn't work. And there was three of us, three kids, and we always had plenty. So whatever they were doing, being frugal and shit, like sank into my subconscious mind. And now I'm not frugal at all. Like I'm like the opposite. I don't give a shit. Like whatever, I'll buy anything. I don't care. But also having money sense is, you need to have the money sense, and you need to manage your money well. And
it seems like that's really important in what you do specifically with backing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because sometimes your guys are going to lose, or maybe you lose, right? And then managing that flow, and
yeah, and it's like not getting greedy is the big thing. I think the saying people get greedy, and they when you're hiring someone in terms of backing them in poker, it's like kind of like the metaphor I make is like when you get a fish tank, you just want to keep buying fish because it's like the thrill, the dopamine rush. Like I need this new fish, I need this new fish. And with poker backing, it's the same thing. Like, this guy can make me a lot of money. Right. A lot of guys do that, and so like the overwhelming majority of people that try to back will fail. Like I know of like a few, like profitable backers, a few.
Wow.
So yeah.
So one of the things that have made you stand out, I'm hearing, is your ability to pick talent.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and build that connection with them.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
It's almost like a brotherhood, I feel, with you and the guys.
Yeah, for sure. There can't be anything left unsaid.
Which is really cool because that's that familial. When you feel like you're a family, you rise to the occasion, right? I don't want to let a family down in a way.
Right.
And what else? You were saying you manage your money well.
Yeah, manage money well. I mean, I'm gifted in this profession with not. I've struggled with addiction and stuff in my life in many different ways, but not in gambling. Like I have zero desire.
So fascinating.
Yeah, like I have zero desire to like gamble. But a lot of guys, like I would say, about half of the guys in poker or more have like some sort of gambling issue.
Addiction. So how do you not get an addiction when you're making?
I don't know. I think it's just like I think it's kind of just like the way we're born.
A past addictive personality, right? Like
because it does. I don't know. Different things do different things for different people. Like for me,
did you set rules for yourself?
No,
when it came to poker?
No, I just did. It just never was something that like gave me that like sort of like high. I never got like high off of it. Does that make sense? Like there was no like in a bad way. Like whereas like drugs or drinking, I would. Like I definitely have that in my past, and like whatever I talked about recently, like struggling with taking Adderall and all this stuff. Like, I'm perfect by no means, but in gambling, I just don't have that. It doesn't give me the same like dopamine rush that it does others, and but it's just kind of lucky, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating if you think about it. And I bet that is the demise of many poker players, is that addiction, because that'll cause you to do some stupid shit, right?
Tons.
Right?
I know tons of like brilliant guys that just ate them alive. And what it comes down to is like taking care of yourself, though. Really, if you're on your game and you're like consciously trying to be a better person and you're trying to be aware of your issues and seeking out help, you'll be all right. You'll be fine. Other than that, you won't be. And like that's it, I think.
You said today, you mentioned that you meditate.
Yeah.
Is it daily?
Yeah, I've this past year or two, I've really gotten into it much more. I would say I've been doing it for the past 10 years, but the past year or two, especially with all this poker stuff, I meditate. Like I'll play Sunday and I'll like have like some form of meditation that's like 2.5 hours before I play.
For that length of time?
Yeah, so I do a lot of meditation and I do a lot of manifestation.
So visualization.
Yeah, and like I do believe that I am a very powerful.
Can you talk to us about that visualization or that manifestation?
Yeah, for sure. Here's a great example of like something that is like wild. When I got into it, I like just like YouTube like manifestation, and I saw this thing. It was this 30-day manifestation challenge. I was like, all right, try it. and like you just like do it every night for like 10 minutes. So I did it, and my goal was to make $5 million in, it was 30 days. It was what it was. Just a thing that I thought was like kind of close to impossible, but I also was open-minded enough to think that I could.
Cool.
Okay, so I did it, and it didn't work exactly according to plan. But within, I guess it was 75 days, I'd made like $7 million in like within 75 days. So like you can't make this shit up. Like this is an insane thing.
Right.
Like this is crazy. So I still use it a lot for different things. I'll use it specifically before I play Sunday, try to visualize what I'm going to win that day. And like constantly put my place there. And a lot of times it works out. Like this past Sunday, like I pretty much visualized exactly what was going to happen this Sunday. And sometimes it doesn't. And
you actively create, like you create the visualization, like how you want it to pan out in your mind? I
create generally the end goal, the end result, because I don't think that, that's like a big part, I think, of this manifestation stuff is you're not supposed to see how it's supposed to play out, just what you're going to get at the end. So it's just that.
The how of getting there is irrelevant,
right? Right, yeah, that's like playing God. Yeah. And
it's pretty fascinating. So you're sitting, talk us through the process.
Okay, so my Sunday routine is this. I'll wake up, I'll do yin yoga for an hour. Okay. Then I'll do breathing technique for 15 minutes, like an aggressive breathing technique for like 15 minutes. Then I'll just do like a kind of like a trance type meditation for maybe 20-ish minutes. Then I'll be getting ready to start playing within like the hour, and then I talk to Elliot for 15 minutes, and he gets me into like the hypno state or whatever. And it's cool because it brings into my consciousness what I need to be aware of that day. Okay, and there's certain things like
totally lit up with that one.
I'll have certain keys that I have to do that day. It's like, all right, keep your table count low, like not play a lot of tables. Don't press it in spots. Like don't try to force things to happen. Just kind of try to let them like open up to. Don't try to like control too much. Those are the things that like I've been recently working on. And then after that, I'll do one or two different,
because that works best for you.
Right. Because for me, for different people, it's completely different things.
Right.
It could be like push it more, it could be whatever. Then after that, I'll do 2 visualization. It's like a lot of YouTube stuff. Honestly, I just like Google like manifestation. One of the ones I listen to is called Manifesting Miracles. It's a really good one. I bet a lot of people would like this one. Generally, this guy's voice, and just it's a 10-minute thing, and you just visualize what you want to happen, and you try to feel it. And like, so I'll be like, all right, what do I want to happen? And I want to be like, all right, I want the day to be like winding down, and I want to like win this tournament for like around this amount of money. And then sometimes it's not a money thing. Sometimes it's a feeling. I just the feeling of extreme excitement, the feeling of like accomplishment, different things. And then from that, I will sometimes get specific, and then sometimes not super specific. But I'm still like toying with this and playing with it as we go. Like I definitely.
Is this something that you just started doing, or you've been doing?
So I've been doing. I started manifesting. So I did the 30-day manifest when I started. That was in 2017. And this was something completely unrelated to poker. This was cryptocurrency. This is where I got the money from. It wasn't a poker thing at all. But more recently, I've just been. It always changes. Like I'm learning more about it and
playing with
it.
Yeah, playing with it. Things just like. Maybe on your tables.
Right, for sure. And I think it's like you can see something like this and with the law of attraction. Like, and I believe the law of attraction is great and it's awesome. And I think it's one law. And like there's a lot of shit going on in this universe that we're not really sure of, and other things at play, like the path that maybe we're meant to go on or something like that. So I take it with a grain of salt, kind of like it's one good tool in my bag of tricks.
Yeah, that's awesome. But it's powerful, right? I mean,
100%.
You wouldn't keep doing it every day. I love that you have like a 2-hour routine.
Yeah.
Before you get online and start playing.
Yeah.
You have to be on your game for hours at a time.
Yeah,
right?
but I think this is a good disclaimer. This all came naturally to me. This isn't something that like I feel like forced to do or anything. Through doing like hypnotherapy for years, through like kind of meditating for years, and like whatever. This is just what popped up intuitively to me. So I would say, if you're watching this, like you got to figure out what works for you and where you're at. And if you're maybe sometimes like early on in the practice, for me, meditating was extremely tough and still can be extremely tough. Just do something to start the process of this. Like,
yeah.
Just like I told
honestly, even 2 minutes. We were
exactly.
talking about this the other day.
Yeah, great.
I think it was with I don't
Nick,
know,
with
something.
Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 2 minutes. Like there's no excuses for why we can't do anything for 2 minutes,
Yeah.
right?
And then build from there. Yeah.
Mhm. You're just building the habit, right? And that's
Yeah.
really what it comes down to, is just starting to build the habit, lowering the resistance.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And that's like a massive life hack.
Yeah,
For sure.
cool. Hey man, it was super pleasure being here with you.
Yeah, me
and
too. You're awesome.
Last couple days, it's been great.
She has given me some great advice. I was just on the hot seat in our thing, and she gave me the best advice of anyone. It was amazing. She's a very on point woman, and I'm grateful to have met her.
Hopefully we stay connected.
Definitely.
Cool. Thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the 1% Life. If you got value from it, please leave us a rating, and hopefully 5 stars it is. Share this out with your peeps, your whoever, tag them, share it out, whatever you want to do. And we'll see you on the next episode of the show. Get out there and be unstoppable. Peace. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.